What are you doing here? Did security let another one slip through? Regional Manager Brad Stevens' voice boomed across Technova Solutions' pristine lobby. His eyes swept Amara Washington from head to toe with open disgust. You people always think you can waltz into places you don't belong. Well, not on my watch. Without warning, he grabbed his 20-ounce Pepsi and slowly, deliberately poured the entire contents over Amara's head. Cola cascaded down her face, soaking her $400 silk blouse and expensive briefcase. Dark liquid dripped from her briefcase. Expensive merger contracts floated in sticky puddles. 15 employees and visitors froze mid-conversation, phones emerging like weapons. Amara stood motionless. No screaming, no tears. Just quiet dignity as cola stained her $400 silk blouse. She checked her gold watch. 2:47 p.m. 13 minutes until 3 o'clock, she murmured, photographing the mess with steady hands. Brad smirked, adjusting his tie. Security badge dangling, he owned this moment, or so he thought. Have you ever been humiliated at your spouse's workplace, only to watch justice unfold in the most devastating way imaginable? Document folders hit the marble floor with wet slaps. Important merger contracts floated in sticky brown puddles. 15 employees and visitors stood frozen, phones emerging from pockets like digital witnesses. Amara Washington remained perfectly still. Cola dripped from her natural hair onto her designer heels. No screaming, no cursing, just eerie calm as she reached for her phone and began photographing everything. 2:48 p.m., she said quietly, checking her Cartier watch. 12 minutes. Brad Stevens straightened his tie, chest puffed with satisfaction. That's what happens when people forget their place. Security! Maya Rodriguez, the young Latina receptionist, stepped forward. Sir, this lady has proper visitor credentials. She's here for... Are you questioning my authority, Maya? Brad's voice carried across the lobby. Because I can have you writing up incident reports all week. Maya's face flushed. She glanced at Amara apologetically, then stepped back. Jerome Washington, no relation, the black security guard, approached slowly. His radio crackled with chatter from other floors. At 45, he'd seen enough workplace drama to recognize trouble brewing. What seems to be the problem, Mr. Stevens? Jerome's voice stayed professional, but his eyes lingered on Amara's calm demeanor. This woman is trespassing. Remove her immediately. Brad pointed dramatically. She's clearly here to steal proprietary information or cause trouble. Amara knelt gracefully, gathering soggy documents. Her briefcase bore the embossed logo of a prestigious law firm. Several papers showed partial letterheads. Confidential, CEO only, and Meridian Acquisition, 340 ULAs. Junior executive Lisa Miller watched from the elevator bank, iPhone recording discreetly. She'd worked here 18 months and never seen Brad this aggressive. Something felt wrong about the entire situation. Ma'am, Jerome said gently, I need to ask what brings you here today. Amara looked up, water droplets still falling from her hair. I'm delivering time-sensitive documents to the CEO. David is expecting these for his 3 p.m. board meeting. She handed Jerome her visitor badge, his eyebrows raised slightly, reading the access level. VIP Executive Suite. Brad snatched the badge before Jerome could examine it closely. Fake! Obviously fake. You think we're stupid? David? You mean Mr. Washington? Like the CEO would associate with what exactly? Amara's voice cut through his rant like ice. The lobby fell silent. Even the background chatter from other floors seemed to pause. Brad's face reddened. Don't play games with me. I know your type. You see an expensive building and think you can scam your way in. Assistant Manager Carol Rodriguez emerged from the elevator, drawn by the commotion. At 38, she'd climbed the corporate ladder by never challenging authority. She sized up the situation quickly. Black woman, expensive clothes, confrontation with Brad. Is there a problem here? Carol asked, positioning herself beside Brad. Just removing an unwanted visitor, Brad replied. Someone who thinks she can waltz in here claiming to know the CEO. Carol's eyes narrowed as she studied Amara. Security should have screened her properly. Jerome, how did she get past the front desk? She has proper credentials, Jerome said carefully. VIP access badge, signed visitor log. Those can be forged, Carol interrupted. Brad's right to be cautious. We've had issues with corporate espionage lately. Amara continued photographing everything. The spilled documents, her stained clothes, the faces of bystanders. Her phone buzzed repeatedly. The caller ID showed David, but she declined each call. Lisa Miller stepped closer, pretending to check her email while recording. She'd studied the company directory extensively, and something about Amara seemed familiar. The confident posture, the expensive jewelry, the way she handled the situation. 10 minutes, Amara murmured, checking her watch again. 10 minutes until what? Brad demanded. Until your accomplices arrive? Until you complete whatever scheme you're running? Maya bit her lip, glancing between the confrontation and her computer screen. She'd seen Amara's name in the visitor logs before. Monthly visits, always with VIP clearance, always requesting CEO access. Sir, Maya said quietly, maybe I should call upstairs and— You'll do no such thing, Carol snapped. We handle our own security issues down here. Amara's phone buzzed again. This time the text was visible. Meridian contracts needed ASAP. Board meeting moved to 3:00. Where are you? She showed the screen to Jerome. His expression shifted subtly. Mr. Stevens, Jerome said, perhaps we should verify her story before— I don't care about her story. Brad's voice echoed off the marble walls. Look at her. Does she look like CEO material to you? Use your eyes, Jerome. The racial undertone hung in the air like smoke. Several employees exchanged uncomfortable glances. Lisa's recording captured every word. A well-dressed white executive named Robert Harrison approached from the coffee station. He'd been watching the scene unfold with growing unease. Brad, what's all the shouting about? Robert asked. Just handling a security breach, Rob. Nothing you need to worry about. Robert studied Amara, taking in her expensive briefcase, her professional demeanor despite being soaked in soda. Ma'am, are you all right? Do you need medical attention? I'm fine, thank you, Amara replied. I just need to deliver these documents. 8 minutes. 8 minutes until what? Robert asked gently. Until David's board meeting starts. He's expecting the Meridian acquisition contracts. Robert's face paled. He knew about the Meridian deal, $340 million acquisition, highly confidential board-level approval required today. Brad, Robert said slowly, maybe we should— Stay out of this, Rob. I've got everything under control. But control was slipping away. Amara's calm confidence contrasted sharply with Brad's growing hysteria. The employees sensed something bigger brewing beneath the surface. Maya's computer chimed with an instant message from the CEO's office. Is Mrs. Washington downstairs? CEO is looking for merger documents. Maya's eyes widened. She looked at Amara, then at her screen, then back at the chaos unfolding. The countdown continued. 7 minutes until 3:00 p.m. 7 minutes until everything changed. Maya's hands trembled over her keyboard. The instant message from the CEO's office burned on her screen. Is Mrs. Washington downstairs? CEO is looking for merger documents. She glanced at Amara, still calmly photographing her ruined clothes. The name clicked. Mrs. Washington, the woman who visited monthly, always with VIP clearance, always treated with utmost respect by senior executives. Oh my God, Maya whispered. Brad caught her expression. What's wrong with you now? Nothing, sir, just checking something. Maya's finger hovered over her keyboard. Should she respond to the CEO's office? Should she warn them? Carol Rodriguez stepped closer to Amara, studying her expensive Hermes handbag and custom-fitted blazer. Despite the soda stains, everything screamed money and class. "You know what I think?" Carol said loudly. "I think you're one of those con artists who dress up nice and target tech companies. Probably already hit Google and Apple this week." Robert Harrison shifted uncomfortably. "Carol, that seems a bit..." "A bit what? Observant? Realistic?" Carol's voice carried across the lobby. "Look at her, Rob. She shows up here claiming to know our CEO personally. David Washington, the David Washington. It's laughable." Amara continued gathering her soggy documents, separating salvageable pages from ruined ones. Her movements were methodical, professional, a woman accustomed to crisis management. 6 minutes, she said softly. Jerome watched the scene unfold with growing unease. In 12 years of corporate security, he'd never seen anyone handle humiliation with such composure. Most people would be screaming, crying, or threatening lawsuits by now. Lisa Miller positioned herself near the elevator bank, iPhone capturing everything. Her business journalism background kicked in. This felt like a story worth documenting. She'd already posted a live update to her LinkedIn, witnessing something disturbing at work. More details soon. "Jerome," Brad commanded, "escort this woman out immediately. Use force if necessary." Jerome hesitated. "Sir, maybe we should verify her credentials first. Call upstairs and..." "Are you deaf? I said remove her, now!" The racial dynamics weren't lost on Jerome. A black security guard being ordered to forcibly remove a black woman by white managers who refused to verify her legitimate credentials. "Mr. Stevens, I'd prefer to follow proper protocol." "Your protocol is whatever I tell you it is." Brad's face flushed crimson. "Do your job or find another one." More employees emerged from elevators and stairwells, drawn by the escalating voices. The lunch crowd was returning, creating a growing audience. Marketing Director Jennifer Walsh approached with her coffee. "What's all the commotion about?" "Security issue," Carol replied smoothly. "Nothing we can't handle." Jennifer studied Amara's professional demeanor and expensive accessories. "She doesn't look like a security threat. Ma'am, are you injured? Do you need assistance?" "I'm fine, thank you," Amara replied. "I just need to reach the 32nd floor before 3:00 p.m. Jennifer's eyebrows shot up. The 32nd floor housed only executive offices and the CEO's suite. Brad laughed harshly. "You hear that? She wants to go to the executive floor, probably planning to steal corporate secrets or plant listening devices." 5 minutes. Amara checked her watch again. Her phone buzzed with another text. This time, several people caught a glimpse of the message. "Emergency board meeting starting early. Need Meridian contracts immediately. Where are you?" "David." Robert's face went white. He'd just come from the 31st floor where he'd heard about the emergency session. The Meridian acquisition was Technova's biggest deal this year, $340 million that could make or break their quarterly earnings. "Brad," Robert said quietly, "I think we should..." "What should we do?" Brad spun around. "Let some random woman con her way into our most secure areas? Rob, I expected better judgment from someone at your level." Lisa's live stream on LinkedIn had attracted 47 viewers and climbing. Comments flooded in. "This is workplace discrimination in real time." "Someone call HR immediately." "That woman is way too calm. Something's coming." Why won't they just verify her credentials? Maya couldn't take it anymore. Her conscience overrode her fear of Brad's retaliation. She picked up her desk phone and dialed the CEO's office. "Maya, what are you doing?" Carol demanded. "Following proper security protocol," Maya replied, heart pounding. Brad lunged toward the phone, but Maya had already connected. "Mr. Washington's office, this is Sarah." "Hi, Sarah, this is Maya at the front desk. I have Mrs. Washington here who says she's delivering documents to the CEO." A pause. Then, "Thank God. Put her on immediately. Mr. Washington has been looking everywhere for those contracts." The lobby fell silent except for the hum of air conditioning. Brad's confident expression cracked slightly. Maya held out the phone to Amara. "Ma'am, Mr. Washington's assistant would like to speak with you." Amara accepted the phone gracefully.
Sarah? Yes, it's me. I'm in the lobby with the Meridian contracts, but there's been a slight delay.
Even from 3 feet away, people could hear Sarah's relieved voice.
Oh, thank goodness. Mr. Washington was about to send security down to look for you. The board meeting moved up to 2:55. Can you come up immediately?
I'll be right there, Amara replied, handing the phone back to Maya. The silence stretched like a taut wire. Brad's mouth opened and closed like a fish out of water. Carol took an unconscious step backward. Robert cleared his throat. Brad, I think there might have been a misunderstanding. No misunderstanding, Brad said, but his voice lacked its earlier conviction. Anyone can pretend to be someone's wife. Happens all the time. Jennifer Walsh pulled out her phone and quickly Googled David Washington's CEO wife. Her face went pale as images loaded. 4 minutes, Amara said, stepping toward the elevators. Brad moved to block her path. You're not going anywhere until we verify your identity properly. Jerome, detain her. Jerome looked between Brad's red face and Amara's calm composure. 12 years of experience told him something was very wrong with this situation. Sir, with respect, the CEO's office just confirmed. I don't care what they confirmed. Use your eyes. Does she look like a CEO wife material to you? The racist implication hung in the air like a toxic cloud. Several employees exchanged shocked glances. Lisa's recording captured every word. Amara's phone rang. This time she answered.
Hi, darling. Yes, I'm still downstairs. There's been a small complication with building security.
Even from several feet away, a deep male voice could be heard. What kind of complication? Do you need me to come down?
That might be helpful,
Amara replied calmly.
I have your Meridian contracts, but Mr. Stevens seems to believe I'm some sort of security threat.
A pause. Then the voice grew noticeably cooler. Put Stevens on the phone. Brad shook his head frantically, waving his hands. I'm not falling for this scam. Probably your boyfriend is helping with the con. Amara held out the phone. He'd like to speak with you. Absolutely not. Jerome, I order you to arrest this woman for trespassing, fraud, and attempted corporate espionage. Jerome looked at the phone in Amara's hand, then at Brad's increasingly desperate expression. In 30 seconds, this situation had shifted from routine security to potential career suicide. The elevator chimed. Doors slid open with a soft whoosh.
3 minutes until 3 o'clock,
Amara said, checking her watch one final time. The tension in the lobby reached a breaking point. Employees held their breath. Lisa's live stream viewers topped 100. Maya gripped her desk edge until her knuckles went white. Everything was about to change. The elevator doors slid open with mechanical precision. Polished steel reflected the lobby's tension like a mirror. Then he stepped out. David Washington, 6'2", impeccably dressed in a $3,000 charcoal suit, CEO of Technova Solutions for 8 years. His presence commanded immediate attention, the kind of authority that came from building a company worth $2.4 billion. His eyes swept the lobby, taking in the crowd, the scattered documents, the puddles of cola on marble floors. Then his gaze landed on his wife. Amara? His voice carried across the silent space. What happened to you? The transformation was instant and devastating. Brad's confident sneer dissolved into pure terror. Carol stepped backward so quickly she nearly tripped. Robert's coffee cup slipped from nerveless fingers, shattering on the floor. Amara turned toward her husband with the same calm composure she'd maintained throughout the ordeal. I brought your Meridian contracts. They got a little wet. David's expression shifted through confusion, recognition, then ice-cold fury as he processed the scene. His wife, Harvard MBA, former McKinsey partner, board member of 3 Fortune 500 companies, standing soaked in soda while his employees gawked. Someone explain to me why my wife is covered in Pepsi. The silence stretched like a funeral shroud. Nobody moved,
Nobody breathed. Brad's mouth opened and closed soundlessly. Sweat beaded on his forehead despite the air conditioning. The man who'd been so vocal moments ago seemed to have lost his voice entirely. "I asked a question," David said, his tone dropping 10 degrees. "Someone. Explain. Now." Jerome stepped forward first, his security training overriding his shock. "Sir, there was a misunderstanding about Mrs. Washington's visitor credentials." "Misunderstanding?" David's eyebrows rose. "Jerome, my wife has been visiting this office monthly for 3 years. She's photographed at every company event. Her picture hangs in my office." Lisa Miller's live stream exploded with comments as viewers realized what they were witnessing. Her follower count jumped from 847 to 2,300 in real time. The video was being shared across LinkedIn, Twitter, and TikTok. Jennifer Walsh frantically scrolled through her Google results, finding image after image of David and Amara Washington at charity galas, business conferences, and Technova corporate events. The woman standing before them wasn't just the CEO's wife. She was a business powerhouse in her own right. "Ma'am," Jennifer approached Amara cautiously, "I am so incredibly sorry. I had no idea." "You had no idea because you saw a black woman and made assumptions," Amara replied quietly. "Just like everyone else." David moved closer to his wife, his protective instincts flaring. He'd built Technova from a startup in his garage to a publicly traded corporation, but right now he looked ready to tear the building down brick by brick. "Amara, tell me exactly what happened." She handed him her phone, showing the photos she'd taken. The sequence told the story perfectly. Brad's aggressive posture, the deliberate pouring of soda, the scattered contracts, the growing crowd of onlookers. David's jaw tightened as he scrolled through the images. "These are time-stamped. This has been going on for 13 minutes? 12 minutes and 47 seconds, Amara confirmed. Maya found her voice first. "Mr. Washington, I tried to help. I called your office when—" "Maya, you did exactly right," David said, his tone softening for the young receptionist. "Thank you for following proper protocol." His gaze shifted to Brad, who looked like he wanted to disappear into the marble floor. "Mr. Stevens." "Brad. You've worked here for— how long?" "For 4 years, sir," Brad stammered. 4 years. And in those 4 years, how many times has my wife visited this office? Brad's throat worked soundlessly. The answer was written on his face. He knew exactly who Amara was. He'd seen her before. He'd deliberately chosen to humiliate her anyway. I didn't recognize— You didn't recognize the woman whose photo is displayed in the main conference room? The woman who spoke at our last 3 company meetings? The woman who established our diversity scholarship program? Each question hit like a physical blow. Brad's legs seemed to be failing him. Carol Rodriguez tried to salvage the situation. "Sir, we were just being cautious about corporate security. There have been incidents—" "Carol," David's voice could have frozen hellfire. "Are you seriously trying to justify pouring soda on my wife?" "No, sir. I would never—" "But you stood there and watched. You encouraged it. You called her a con artist." Robert Harrison stepped forward, his face ashen. "David, I tried to intervene. I suggested we verify her credentials." "You suggested? While my wife was being publicly humiliated by my own employees." David's disappointment was somehow worse than his anger. "Robert, I expected better from someone at your level." The crowd of employees had grown to nearly 30 people. Phones were everywhere, capturing every moment. This wasn't just workplace drama anymore. It was a viral moment happening in real time. Amara's phone buzzed with notifications. News outlets were already picking up the story from social media. Technova incident was trending. Black voices across the platform were sharing their own stories of workplace discrimination. Lisa's live stream viewers had topped 5,000. Comments flooded in. "This CEO is about to end these people. Justice in real time. That woman handled this like a boss. Racism has consequences." David pulled out his own phone, typing rapidly. Within seconds, Every executive in the building received an emergency alert. All department heads to lobby immediately. Code red personnel situation. "What are you doing?" Brad asked, panic creeping into his voice. "What I should have done years ago," David replied. "Creating consequences." The elevator chimed again. This time, 6 senior executives emerged: the chief operating officer, head of human resources, legal counsel, chief financial officer, VP of marketing, and head of security. Their faces registered shock as they took in the scene. Amara Washington, board member, major shareholder, the CEO's wife, standing soaked in soda while a crowd of employees watched in stunned silence. "Gentlemen, ladies," David announced, "meet the perpetrators of what will undoubtedly become Technova's most expensive HR incident in company history." HR Director Patricia Miller, Lisa's aunt coincidentally, immediately stepped forward with a tablet, ready to document everything. "Mrs. Washington, are you injured? Do you need medical attention?" "I'm fine, Patricia. But thank you for asking. It's the first time anyone's shown concern for my well-being in the past 14 minutes. The assembled executives exchanged glances. This wasn't just a disciplinary issue. It was a legal nightmare. A discrimination lawsuit against a publicly traded company, documented on social media, with the CEO's wife as the victim. Legal counsel James Morrison was already calculating damages in his head. Stock price impact, settlement costs, regulatory fines, reputation management. They were looking at millions in losses. "Brad," David continued, "you poured soda on my wife. You called security to have her removed. You refused to verify her credentials. You made racist comments about her appearance." Each accusation landed like a sledgehammer. Brad's career wasn't just ending, it was being publicly demolished. "Carol, you participated in the harassment. You accused her of corporate espionage. You blocked her access to elevators." Carol's face had gone completely white. 20 years of climbing the corporate ladder destroyed in 15 minutes. "And all of you," David addressed the crowd, "stood by and watched. Some of you recorded it for entertainment. Only Maya and Robert showed any decency." Amara checked her watch. "It's 3:02. Your board meeting started 2 minutes ago." The reminder hit like cold water. David had built his reputation on punctuality and preparedness. Missing a $340 million acquisition meeting because his wife was being racially harassed by his own employees was a new low. "The Meridian contracts are in my briefcase," Amara continued. Slightly damp, but legible. David took the briefcase, then made a decision that would reshape Technova forever. "The board meeting is postponed. We have bigger issues to address." He turned to Patricia. "Effective immediately, Brad Stevens is terminated for cause. No severance, no references, complete forfeiture of stock options." Brad's knees buckled. His $127,000 salary, his $23,000 annual bonus, his retirement savings tied up in company stock, gone. "Carol Rodriguez is suspended pending full investigation. If HR determines her participation warrants termination, she'll join Brad in the unemployment line." The crowd watched in stunned silence as careers imploded in real time. "Jerome, you're promoted to head of building security. Maya, you're being moved to executive relations with a $15,000 raise." Justice was swift and surgical. And everyone else, every single person who watched this happen, will undergo mandatory bias training within the next week. Anyone who refuses will be terminated. The room buzzed with nervous energy. People were witnessing corporate consequences delivered at lightning speed. "But David," Amara said softly, "this isn't just about punishment. It's about prevention." She was right, of course. She always was. This moment wasn't just about destroying the people who'd wronged her. It was about ensuring it never happened to anyone else. "You're absolutely right," David nodded. "Patricia, I want a complete diversity audit of all departments within 30 days. I want anonymous reporting systems implemented by Friday. I want quarterly sensitivity training for every employee, myself included." The transformation from humiliation to systematic reform was happening before their eyes. This wasn't just revenge, it was revolution. But they weren't finished yet. The real reckoning was just beginning. David's phone rang. Board Chairman William Foster's name appeared on the screen. "I have to take this," David said, then answered. "Bill, I'm dealing with a situation." "We all are," came the reply, loud enough for nearby people to hear. "Your wife's incident is already on CNN. The stock price dropped 2 points in the last 5 minutes. The gravity hit everyone simultaneously. This wasn't just internal drama anymore. It was national news affecting shareholder value. "How bad?" David asked. "Bad enough that I'm calling an emergency board session for tonight. We need damage control, legal strategy, and a public response. Is Amara planning to sue?" All eyes turned to Amara. The woman who'd been humiliated 15 minutes ago now held the company's future in her hands. She smiled for the first time since the ordeal began. "That depends entirely on what changes Technova is willing to make." The executive conference room on the 32nd floor had never felt this tense. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked downtown Chicago, but nobody was admiring the view. 7 board members sat around a $50,000 Italian marble table, tablets open, faces grim. David Washington stood at the head of the table, still in his soda-stained suit jacket. He'd refused to change until this crisis was resolved. Amara sat to his right, now wearing a Technova company polo shirt someone had found for her. "Let's review the damage," announced Board Chairman William Foster, his silver hair perfectly styled despite the emergency session. "Stock price down 3.2% in 2 hours. Hashtag Technova racism trending nationally. CNN, MSNBC, and Fox News are all covering the story." Legal counsel James Morrison opened his tablet. "I've been monitoring social media. Lisa Miller's live stream has 2.1 million views. It's been shared 89,000 times on LinkedIn alone. We're looking at potential class action lawsuits from other employees who've faced discrimination." Chief Financial Officer Margaret Kim cleared her throat. "Conservative estimate for settlement costs, legal fees, and reputation management, $15 million minimum. That's assuming Mrs. Washington doesn't pursue maximum damages." All eyes turned to Amara, who was reviewing a thick folder of documents she'd requested from HR. "I've been examining Technova's diversity statistics," she said calmly. "Fascinating reading." She opened to a highlighted page. Executive leadership, 73% white male, 18% white female, 9% minority. Department heads, 81% white. Middle management, 79% white. The numbers hung in the air like an indictment. In a city that's 33% black and 29% Latino, Technova employs a workforce that's 7% black and 12% Latino. Your hiring practices haven't just failed, they've actively excluded people who look like me. Board member Patricia Hernandez shifted uncomfortably. "Amara, we've always prioritized merit-based hiring. Merit according to whom?" Amara's voice remained steady, but her words cut deep. "When 95% of your recruiters are white, when 88% of your hiring managers share the same educational and socioeconomic background, you're not measuring merit, you're measuring similarity." David pulled up internal data on the wall screen. Quarter-over-quarter revenue by department. Brad Stevens' Regional Management Division, $45 million annually. Seems significant until you realize that's only 1.9% of our total revenue stream. He clicked another slide. Employee satisfaction scores in Brad's division, 3.2 out of 5. Turnover rate, 34%, nearly double the company average. Exit interview keywords, hostile environment, lack of respect, cultural insensitivity. The pattern was clear. Brad hadn't just humiliated Amara, he'd been creating a toxic environment for months. "How did we miss this?" asked Chief Operating Officer Robert Miller. "We didn't miss it," Amara replied. "We ignored it. I've reviewed 47 HR complaints filed against Brad's department in the past 18 months. Sexual harassment, racial microaggressions, promotion discrimination, all marked as resolved or unsubstantiated. HR Director Patricia Miller, no relation to Robert, looked stricken. Those complaints were investigated according to company protocol. Protocol designed to protect the company, not the employees, Amara interrupted. Average investigation time, 3.7 days. Average follow-up, 0. Anonymous reporting system, non-existent. Board member Michael Torres leaned forward. What are you proposing, Amara? Complete structural overhaul, starting with immediate terminations. The room fell silent. Terminations meant severance packages, potential wrongful dismissal lawsuits, and operational disruption. Brad Stevens is already gone, David said. Who else? Carol Rodriguez. She actively participated in the harassment and has 6 formal complaints against her dating back 2 years. Assistant Manager Derek Wilson. 3 sexual harassment allegations that were resolved without consequence. Amara consulted her notes. Regional HR Representative Sandra Mitchell, who marked legitimate discrimination complaints as personality conflicts. And Building Security Supervisor Tom Patterson, who's been losing incident reports for 8 months. Each name represented hundreds of thousands in salary and benefits. But the alternative, massive lawsuits and reputation damage, was far more expensive. That's 5 terminations in 1 day, Margaret Kim calculated. Severance costs alone will hit $340,000. Compare that to our potential legal exposure, James Morrison interjected. Class action discrimination suits typically settle for $2 to $5 million per incident. We could be looking at $50 million if other victims come forward. William Foster drummed his fingers on the marble table. Amara, what guarantee do we have that these changes will prevent future incidents? None. But I can guarantee that without systemic changes, this will happen again. And next time, it might not be the CEO's wife. It might be a minimum wage employee with no resources to fight back. The moral weight of her words settled over the room. What specific changes are you requesting? Foster asked. Amara opened her laptop and projected a detailed presentation. She'd been preparing this for years. First, anonymous reporting system. Mobile app, third-party managed, 0 retaliation tolerance. Implementation cost, $127,000 annually. Second, quarterly bias training for all employees, not just management. Mandatory for promotion consideration. Cost, $234,000 annually. Third, diverse hiring mandates. 40% minority representation in management within 18 months. Dedicated diversity recruiter. Partnership with HBCUs and Hispanic-serving institutions. Cost, $189,000 annually. Fourth, employee advocacy program. Trained staff members who can intervene in discrimination incidents. Think of them as internal ombudsmen. Cost, $156,000 annually. Fifth, third-party diversity audits every 6 months. Complete statistical analysis of hiring, promotion, and retention patterns by race, gender, and department. Cost, $78,000 annually. David calculated quickly. Total annual cost, $784,000. That's less than Brad Stevens' department spent on office furniture last year. The return on investment was obvious. Preventing one discrimination lawsuit would pay for the entire program. There's more, Amara continued. Executive compensation is tied to diversity metrics. If department heads fail to meet inclusion targets, their bonuses are reduced proportionally. That got everyone's attention. Executive bonuses averaged $340,000 annually. You're talking about fundamental cultural change, board member Jennifer Walsh observed. I'm talking about basic human decency, Amara replied, which shouldn't require fundamental change but apparently does. Her phone buzzed with notifications. Social media was exploding with support. Justice. For Amara had joined #TechNovaRacism in trending status. Major news outlets were requesting interviews. We need to consider public response, Foster said. How do we frame this to minimize stock impact? We don't minimize it, David said firmly. We own it. Full responsibility, immediate action, and transparent reporting on our progress. Margaret Kim pulled up market analysis. Actually, companies that respond decisively to discrimination incidents often see stock price recovery within 30 days. Investors value proactive leadership over damage control. What about Brad Stevens? Robert Miller asked. He could file a wrongful termination, claiming he was scapegoated. James Morrison smiled grimly. He poured soda on the CEO's wife on camera. No labor attorney in the country would take that case. Speaking of cameras, Foster said, what about the viral video? Can we request a takedown? Absolutely not, Amara said sharply. That video is evidence. It's also about accountability. The world watched Technova employees humiliate a black woman. Now they need to watch us make it right. The power dynamics in the room had shifted completely. Amara wasn't just the victim anymore. She was the architect of Technova's future. I want all proposed changes implemented within 90 days, she continued. I want monthly progress reports submitted to the board, and I want a public commitment that if these standards aren't met, leadership changes will follow. She was essentially putting David's job on the line along with everyone else's. Done, David said without hesitation. All in favor? Foster called. 7 hands rose unanimously. Nobody wanted to be on the wrong side of this decision. One final condition, Amara said. I want a public apology, not from the company, from Brad Stevens personally, live-streamed on the same platforms where he humiliated me. The request was brilliant. It would demonstrate accountability while giving Amara control over the narrative. And if he refuses? Foster asked. Then his severance package becomes a lawsuit settlement, and we pursue him for intentional infliction of emotional distress. The meeting was ending, but the real work was just beginning. Technova was about to transform from a discrimination liability into a diversity leader. Justice served with surgical precision. 72 hours later, Technova Solutions looked like a different company. The lobby buzzed with purposeful energy as contractors installed new digital displays showcasing employee diversity achievements. The marble floors had been professionally cleaned, but more importantly, the atmosphere had been scrubbed of its toxic undertones. Maya Rodriguez sat behind her reception desk wearing a brand new nameplate. Executive Relations Coordinator. Her $15,000 raise had come with a corner office on the 15th floor, but she'd requested to stay in the lobby. This is where change needs to be visible, she'd told David. At 2:47 p.m., exactly 72 hours after the incident, Maya's computer chimed with a notification. Brad Stevens was going live on LinkedIn, fulfilling his public apology requirement. She adjusted her screen so arriving visitors could watch. Brad's face appeared on camera, unshaven and hollow-eyed. His expensive suits had been replaced by a wrinkled polo shirt. No corporate backdrop, just his empty apartment. My name is Brad Stevens. 3 days ago, I committed an act of workplace discrimination that was captured on video and seen by millions. I poured soda on Amara Washington, a black woman, because I made racist assumptions about her right to be in that space. His voice cracked slightly. I was wrong. Completely, inexcusably wrong. Mrs. Washington was delivering important documents to her husband, the CEO of Technova. Instead of treating her with basic human respect, I humiliated her in front of dozens of people. Maya watched the live comment count climb, 2,847 viewers and rising. The responses ranged from supportive to savage. I cannot undo my actions, but I can acknowledge their impact. My behavior reinforced harmful stereotypes and created a hostile environment for employees of color. I take full responsibility. The camera stayed steady as Brad continued. I've been terminated from Technova, and rightfully so. I'm using this opportunity to examine my own biases and commit to anti-racism education. To Mrs. Washington, I am profoundly sorry for the pain I caused. The live stream ended. Maya refreshed the page. 4,200 views in 6 minutes. Comments were overwhelmingly supportive of Amara and critical of Brad's past actions. Across town, Jerome Washington, still no relation to the CEO, was conducting his first training session as head of building security. 12 security guards from Technova's various locations sat in folding chairs, listening intently. Dignity, Jerome said, writing the word on a whiteboard. Not just for VIPs or people who look like us, for everyone who walks through those doors. He clicked to a slide showing visitor protocol changes. New system goes live Monday. Every visitor gets professional treatment regardless of appearance. Questions about credentials? Verify first, judge never. Security guard Maria Santos raised her hand. What if someone seems suspicious? Define suspicious, Jerome replied. Is it behavior or bias? Are they acting threatening, or do they just look different from what you expect? The distinction was crucial. Technova's new training focused on recognizing unconscious bias rather than ignoring it. Remember, Jerome continued, Mrs. Washington had proper credentials, VIP access, and legitimate business. But assumptions about race overrode facts. That's the bias we're here to eliminate. Meanwhile, in the executive suite, Amara Washington reviewed the first batch of applications for Technova's new Chief Diversity Officer position. 47 candidates in 72 hours. Word traveled fast in the corporate world. Her assistant knocked softly. Mrs. Washington, your 3:30 interview is here. Dr. Keisha Williams entered, Harvard PhD in organizational psychology, former diversity consultant for 3 Fortune 100 companies. She'd been following the Technova story closely. Mrs. Washington, I have to ask, how serious is Technova about actual change versus PR management? Amara appreciated the directness. Dr. Williams, 3 days ago, this company's leadership was 73% white male. As of yesterday, we've hired 2 black department heads, promoted 6 employees of color, and terminated 5 people for documented discrimination. She opened her laptop, showing real-time diversity metrics. We're not managing PR, we're rebuilding culture. The question is whether you're ready to lead that transformation. Dr. Williams smiled. I've been ready my entire career. Down in IT, Lisa Miller was putting finishing touches on Technova's anonymous reporting app, SafeSpeak. The system would launch Monday with third-party management to ensure zero retaliation. Anonymous submissions get routed to external investigators, she explained to her team. Response time guaranteed within 24 hours. No internal access to reporter identities without explicit consent. Employee surveys were already showing dramatic improvement. In 72 hours, workplace satisfaction scores had jumped from 3.2 to 4.1 out of 5 in Brad's former department. The financial impact surprised even the board. Instead of the expected stock decline, Technova's shares had risen 1.7% as investors responded positively to decisive leadership and transparent communication. Corporate clients were also taking notice. 3 major contracts had been renewed early, with clients specifically citing Technova's commitment to inclusive excellence as a deciding factor. But the most meaningful change was intangible. Employees walked taller, spoke up more freely, and reported feeling valued for who they are, not just what they produce. By Friday afternoon, Technova had received 847 job applications, a 43% increase from the previous week. Top-tier talent was attracted to companies that demonstrated authentic commitment to dignity and respect. Carol Rodriguez's 60-day suspension had become a termination when HR's investigation revealed 6 additional discrimination incidents she'd covered up. She was replaced by Marcus Thompson, a black operations manager who'd been overlooked for promotion 3 times despite exemplary performance. The ripple effects extended beyond Technova. 7 other Chicago tech companies had contacted Amara requesting consultation on diversity initiatives. Her story had become a template for transformation. Real change was measurable, sustainable, and spreading. 6 months later, Amara Washington stood before 500 business leaders at the National Diversity Summit in Atlanta. The woman who'd been humiliated with soda had become one of corporate America's most sought-after speakers on workplace transformation. "They saw a black woman and decided I didn't belong," she said, her voice carrying across the silent auditorium. What they didn't see was someone who'd spent 15 years building systems to ensure no one else would face that humiliation. Technova's transformation has become legendary in business circles. The company now boasted 34% minority leadership, the highest in Chicago's tech sector. Employee satisfaction scores had reached 4.7 out of 5. Turnover dropped to 8%, saving $2.3 million annually in recruitment costs. Maya Rodriguez had been accepted to Northwestern's Executive MBA program, sponsored entirely by Technova. Jerome Washington led diversity training programs for 6 major corporations. Lisa Miller's video documentation has won a Webby Award for social impact. Dr. Keisha Williams's SafeSpeak app has been licensed by 47 companies nationwide. Anonymous reporting had led to 23 successful interventions in potential discrimination cases, problems solved before they became crises. The financial results spoke louder than any mission statement. Technova's stock had outperformed sector averages by 12% as investors recognized that inclusive companies were simply more profitable. 3 competitors had been acquired while Technova expanded into 2 new markets. But the most powerful changes were in the real-life stories of employees who no longer feared being themselves at work. Black engineers spoke up in meetings. Latina managers pursued promotions without hesitation. LGBTQ+ employees brought their partners to company events. Brad Stevens had moved to Phoenix, working part-time at his brother-in-law's insurance agency. His LinkedIn profile listed no employment history after Technova. The viral video of his humiliation had made him unemployable in corporate America, a cautionary tale shared in business schools nationwide. Carol Rodriguez had found work at a small accounting firm, her management ambitions permanently derailed. The other terminated employees had struggled similarly, their discrimination documented in industry networks that valued reputation above all else. Justice isn't just punishment, Amara continued her keynote. True justice creates systems that prevent harm from happening again. It transforms institutions, not just individuals. She clicked to her final slide. A photo of Technova's diverse leadership team standing where she'd been humiliated 6 months earlier. These touching stories of workplace transformation prove that change isn't just possible, it's profitable. When we center dignity, we create better businesses. When we value all voices, we build stronger companies. The standing ovation lasted 3 minutes. After her speech, Amara checked her phone. A text from David. Board just approved our $50 million expansion into Seattle. Investors specifically cited our diversity leadership as a competitive advantage. You did this. She smiled, remembering the scared woman covered in soda 6 months ago. That woman had found her power not in anger, but in architecture, building systems that would protect the next person who walked through those doors. The stories don't end here. Have you witnessed workplace discrimination? Share your experience in the comments below. Your voice matters. Your story creates change. These Black stories and life stories remind us that dignity is non-negotiable. Subscribe to Black Voices Uncut for more real-life stories proving that quiet strength creates the loudest change. Together, we document injustice. Together, we demand better. Together, we transform workplaces into spaces where everyone belongs.